Stevie J here from Glove Up or Shut Up and Wrestling Observer with your post CFA 11 report. Championship Fighting Alliance 11 airing tonight on Access TV. And the opening bout was Eddie Gordon versus Roger Delgado. Gordon won at 132 of the second round via rear naked choke. And it was a fairly solid fight for Gordon. Not the most dominant fight we'd see from any fighter tonight, but we'll get to that in a little bit. And it wasn't the Alexis Villa fight either against Scott. It's a hard name to say. Sar Sklavos. Yeah, Sklavos was game, but he was pretty outmatched by Villa, who, if you know anything about his background, is an immigrant to the United States who came over, defected from Cuba, and is considered a world-class wrestler. Getting up there in years a little bit, and you would expect him to probably just rely on his wrestling as a result, but he was actually throwing high kicks as well, which caught Chevello off guard. It was Chevello and Miletich on commentary, by the way. And Villa picked up a unanimous decision here. Not really surprising. He was very much in control for almost the entire fight. 30-27 times 2 and 29-28. But like I said, this wasn't even the most lopsided fight of the night. That was Sean Soriano and Elvin Leon Brito. Both men were 7-0, but let me tell you something. I think one 7-0 was a little more telling than the other. Soriano was a Blackzilian and highly praised by all of his teammates. I don't know who Brito beat to get to 7-0, but clearly not somebody at Soriano's level because Soriano just totally decimated him for 5 straight rounds. He's the interim champion right now in the Championship Fighting Alliance. I don't know who the actual featherweight champion is right now. I apologize for that, but Soriano as the interim champion sure looks like he could beat whoever the champion is. It's kind of that whole Henan Barao thing going on here. It's very similar to that. You look at the guy and think he's not interim in anything but name. He looks like the champion. I mean, he just took Brito down over and over again, busted his nose up, blood was gushing out of it, diced up his head with elbows. Thought we'd get a doctor stoppage at some point, and it never came. They did check on him a couple of times. And it got a Chevello reference of painting the canvas like Jackson Pollock. So that tells you it was a bloody affair, and it tells you how one-sided this was. He got a 50-45 from every judge after the end of 5 rounds, and one person on Twitter actually said 50-43. I don't disagree. It was probably a lopsided enough fight to justify that score. So, not very exciting by the end of the 4th and the 5th round because it was so one-sided. But I will give it up to Brad Tashuk, who said it's fun to watch a guy who's coming into his own, who's a UFC prospect, dominate in that regard. I would have liked to have seen Brito be a little more competitive, but I take his point all the same. Robert Washington, a former MFC fighter, was facing Luis Palomino in a lightweight bout, and this one ended with one right hook. Palomino just threw it, walked away. He knew the fight was over. 3:26 of the first round. Now, here's the fight everybody's been talking about. The controversial one, if you will. The one that everybody wanted to know about going into tonight. Transgendered fighter Fallon Fox taking on Alana Jones. And this is the first opponent Fox has faced with a winning record. Jones was 2-1 going into this fight. And I'd say Jones made a good accounting for herself in the first and second round. She wasn't winning per se, but just getting Fox out of the first round is an accomplishment because in all of Fox's fights up to this point, nobody had. And Jones was able to defend the takedown a couple of times, but overall, it was pretty much Fox's game to take her down and punish her on the ground. And then in the third round, she finished it off by getting a knee on her throat and choking her out. So Fox wins by submission, but it wasn't the total domination you would expect given Fallon Fox's reputation up to this point. She advances to the finals of the tournament because in the other half of the bracket, one of the two fighters missed weight by an astonishing amount, 11 pounds. So Fallon Fox is going to fight the other person who gets a bye. You could say that's an unfair advantage, but then again, yeah, I won't even get into that whole debate. We've already had that on Glove Up or Shut Up. Anyway, moving on, we get our main event of the evening. This one might actually be more controversial than Fallon Fox, if you ask me, because it's a bit stunning what happened here. Mike McKyle was facing Travis View, a late replacement for Valentino Overeem, and he got hurt by a left that came almost to the back of the head. And in the post-fight interview, Kyle said it was to the ear, not to the back. I mean, you can be your own judge on that. I'm not sure that the strike was illegal, but he knew that View was rocked by it either way, and he didn't want to throw another punch. And he told the referee, James Waring was the ref, he told the referee, he's out, he's out, he's out. And Waring wouldn't stop it. And Kyle threw another punch and looked at the referee, and he didn't do anything, and he threw two more. And one of the two that he threw really hurt View, who was already down on his back and not defending himself, and he was out flat cold when Waring finally stopped it. They had to get the airbag, they had to get the ice, they had to get all the doctors in there. He didn't get up to a stool until like 2 or 3 minutes after the fight was over. He had finally recovered by the time the victory was announced, but it was a bad look for CFA. It was a bad move by Waring. Kyle was trying to be classy and not punch the guy that was already down, but Waring wouldn't stop the fight. So, not the way I wanted to see CFA 11 end. An overall good show. Some will say it was a bit of a spectacle given all the curiosity and hype surrounding Fallon Fox, but it was an okay event. Stevie J for AngryMarks.com, Wrestling Observer, and Glove Up or Shut Up, reporting on the fights.